Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Lindsay Prather. I am the Assistant Director of Admission at UNC Asheville. And you are here today for the live chat with UNCA for the ITS department. So this is actually our 13th Q&A with UNCA chat that we have held. So, any questions that you might have had about housing, dining, student life, all that good stuff. Hopefully those questions have been answered for you on the recorded videos posted on our website. So today is going to be about the IT department on campus. The way that the structure is going to be, I'm going to have Matthew Warren here is going to speak a little bit about just kind of what the department does in general, what their role is and their services for students. And then we'll jump right into the question and answer period. We do already have quite a few questions that people wrote in when they registered for the event. But if you have additional questions that pop up or any follow-up questions you want to add, you are welcome to go ahead and ask those while we're chatting. There is a Q&A box at the bottom of your screen where you can type your questions. Those will only be seen by us, by the hosts. So that's a great way to put any last-minute questions that you haven't had a chance to ask yet. So with me is Matthew Warren from the ITS department. He has been with UNC Asheville for over 10 years and, like me, is a proud alum of UNCA. So Matt, I'm going to go ahead and throw it to you. Feel free to get started.
Sounds good, and thank you very much, Lindsay. I appreciate it being invited to this, and glad to have the opportunity to talk with all our new Bulldogs. So super excited to be here with you guys this afternoon. Here to answer, or first kind of give you an overview and outline of what ITS does on the UNC Asheville campus, and open it up for your, like Lindsay said, opportunity to ask any questions you have about computing resources, both hardware, software, what sort of things you get as a benefit of being a student at UNC Asheville, and how we can help you navigate your educational experience as it relates to technology. So please, again, as Lindsay said, do post any questions that you have in the Q&A, and I'll try to jump to them as we go through here. And we also have a document that Lindsay can share out to everyone who joined this session afterwards that will go through and provide some of the hyperlinks to specific resources that we have. So don't worry about having to try to jot down a long URL or anything of that nature. We do have all of these resources posted on our website, and we'll make those available to you. So with that, if it's cool, I'll just go ahead and kind of dive in. Like Lindsay said, I am an alum of the university. I have an undergraduate degree from mass communication, and kind of parlayed that into IT work. Kind of an interesting transition, but that's one of the cool things about University of North Carolina, Asheville. It's a liberal arts education. You learn the humanities, and you can kind of work in a lot of different areas, which is really, really nice. And it's served me well in my career. So all to say, you've made the right choice, and we're glad to have you. On our campus, IT does all of the computing, networking, and technical support services for the entire UNC Asheville community. So we plan, implement, and manage all of the different IT needs on campus, really anything that has to do with technology. And that kind of spans the gamut from how you get connected to our network to access your homework or watch YouTube videos, to how you get your email, how you interact with our online learning system, and so forth. Really anything that has to do with technology at UNC Asheville kind of filters through IT in some capacity. So I just wanted to let you know that we're all here to help you. We have a very robust technical support system where we have a what's called a help desk or service desk staffed by both professional staff and a lot of what will be your peers as student technicians. So we have a lot of folks there ready and willing to help you with any kind of technical question you have. And we encourage you to use that resource as much as you possibly can. We're never, annoyed or aggravated to get questions. Our job is to help you out with anything that you need assistance with. So please don't ever feel shy to get in touch with IT. We're available via phone and email most easily and readily. We also have a physical service desk location on campus. Obviously, given the pandemic situation right now, there's going to be some modifications as to how we provide service there. We'll kind of have to restrict that to by appointment services at the actual physical service desk. But again, we're still happy to help you. Just get in touch via phone or email, and we'll be able to schedule an appointment at our physical location. I think the main question that we were provided prior to this session was kind of what kind of computer do I need? What should I bring to campus? So I really wanted to kind of hit that at the head of the meeting here, and hopefully that'll address a lot of the questions as we go through our kind of list of resources here. So the most important thing here is that we don't have a computer requirement at UNC Asheville. That said, you're going to greatly benefit from having a personal computer of your own to complete coursework with. Again, we don't require any specific computer, but we do have a list of our recommendations on our knowledge base, which is a website that kind of lists all of the question and answer type information that IT can provide. Again, Lindsay will provide that document to you after the session that has a link to those recommendations. But briefly, I believe I can share my screen on this, can I, Lindsay? Let me do that real quick, and I'll just kind of show you what that looks like. So, excuse me, here in our knowledge base, we've listed sort of the minimum specifications that we find most beneficial to the widest variety of students. It's kind of what you might expect, a Windows 10 or Mac OS computer. Both of those are going to be equally capable and compatible with what most faculty and staff are going to be requesting of you during your tenure here. Again, we've listed some of the minimum specifications here, but this shouldn't be taken as, you know, written in stone what you should purchase. You should get in touch with your intended major or program and ask more specific questions about what kind of specific hardware might be required for your success. So by way of example, the new media program is highly technical and uses a lot of different graphical software. You might need a more powerful computer if you're planning on going into the new media program. And again, my recommendation would be to get in touch with that particular department, in this case, new media, to get specific recommendations. Same kind of thinking if you're looking into the engineering or mechatronics program. I know we had a question about that. Again, more powerful hardware is going to do you more service as you go through your education here. But again, get in contact with the engineering department for the very specific recommendations they may have about computing equipment. With that said, we can recommend both Dell for Windows computers and Apple, of course, for Mac computers, really kind of depending on your preference there. Both vendors do offer academic or educational discounts, so you're welcome to view these particular links. We've provided those hyperlinks directly to those resources here. And you can save, you know, a couple $100s on a new computer if you're looking to purchase one. Again, if you already have a computer that you're planning on using as you come to campus, just make sure that it meets kind of these minimum specifications. You'll have the most success if you kind of follow these guidelines. In terms of software, I know that we answered this question in the QA a little bit earlier, and we had some questions beforehand as well. We do provide Microsoft Office 365 for free to all students. So that's a great benefit that you get as a student at UNC Asheville. You have full access to the entire Microsoft Office suite at no additional cost. That gives you the ability to install the Office applications on up to 5 computers that you own and control and are the primary user of, as well as 5 phones or tablets. So you can throw the Office applications on your personal iPhone and your MacBook or your Windows PC, whatever you happen to have, and have use of those applications there. They're also compatible with the Chrome operating system. So if you have a Chromebook, you'll be able to use the applications. In addition to that, you can also access the online versions of the Office applications at portal.office.com. And we do have a lot of information on our knowledge base here about how to access the Office 365 subscription that you're provided. And I'm going to break 1 second so I can clear my throat because I'm outside and there's a lot of pollen in the air this time of year, so hold on. Apologies there. Hopefully that covers the information about computers and specifics there, but please, again, throw in the Q&A any questions that you have and I can go into more specifics. The kind of TLDR of this is you should bring a computer with you, but a lot of things will kind of meet the minimum requirements. So you shouldn't have to be looking at a huge financial outlay for a computer.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Matthew. That was really helpful.
Of course.
Especially, I didn't even know that y'all had the listed recommended specifications and all that. That's awesome. So just to reiterate, so the Microsoft Office, that whole suite comes free for students. They just need to make sure that they get that added onto their computer. And then to reiterate again, there was a question about special deals. So both Dell and Macs have, and Apple, so clearly I'm not an IT person. Both Dell and Apple have discounts for students. Do you
Absolutely.
do you happen to know anything about that process? What's required? What students have to provide to like prove that they're a student?
It really comes down to having an @unca.edu email address, which we'll talk about a little bit here in a second. I can say that both companies operate under the honor system. And if you jump in and say, hey, I'm a university student, they're not gonna, kind of grill you about that. It's not even, I know a lot of folks sign up for Spotify and there's kind of a verification process along with that. It's not even to that level with either Dell or Apple. They just kind of trust, hey, this person's looking for an academic discount, let's give it to them.
Awesome, thank you.
And again, those range in kind of the $200 to $300 discount range.
Great, okay, that's good to know, thank you. Yeah. And were there any other deals or packages or discounts that students should be aware of?
Absolutely. So there's a lot because of the pandemic of software that is being offered for a discount or maybe even for free. One of those is the Adobe Creative Cloud suite, and we have some information about accessing that in our knowledge base. Adobe has provided free licensing for that software until I believe September, or maybe, let me check myself real quick so I don't say something inaccurate. One moment. It's only through July. Apologies there. So you have maybe a couple of weeks if you want to use the Adobe software, but it is an important point to make that we don't have a kind of campus-wide subscription for Adobe Creative Cloud. So if you're looking for that, you will need to take advantage of an offer through On the Hub, which is a third-party website that offers academic software discounts really to any university, but we are one of the partner schools. So on the resource guide that we'll send along here, we've got a link. It's unca.onthehub.com. And you can get anything from the full Microsoft Windows operating system to Creative Cloud, et cetera, for a kind of steeply discounted price. See, we have a QA pop up right here.
All right, I was just typing that into the chat. All right, so did you, before we jump into more questions, did you have anything else in general that you wanted to cover?
I did want to go into a little bit about your email access and the online learning system and so forth, if that's okay.
Absolutely, yeah, that'd be awesome. And then we'll get to that question that's in the Q&A.
Sounds great. So yeah, every student here is offered a computing account. Alongside that, you get your email address. You're assigned a username and you're able to kind of manage the password for that account. And we do use that account as your primary way to log into any service that you're offered here at UNC Asheville. So there's not a lot of different passwords to keep track of for email versus Microsoft versus all these other things. It really is just we try to keep it centered around one password and one username to make it really easy and manageable. I have in our resource guide linked to a couple of policies to be aware of just around best practices and safety in terms of computing. And we're happy, again, if you get in touch with the service desk to assist you setting your password for the first time and changing that and all of those processes. I'll kind of move along quickly through the other topic areas, and that might spark a question from the group. So please go ahead and do put those in the Q&A when they come up. In terms of internet access, our campus is pretty well saturated with wireless service. All of the dormitories, all of the academic buildings, all of the kind of administrative buildings like Highsmith Union and Brown Hall, and the quad are wired up for wireless internet access, as if that's not a bit of an oxymoron. You can stay on Wi-Fi sitting out in the middle of the quad enjoying the sunshine. It's really nice. Inside each dorm room, most of those dorm rooms at least do have a wired connection that is optional. And you can plug an Ethernet cable into that. So if you've got maybe a desktop that you use for gaming and you want to have a nice solid connection, you're welcome to plug into our wired network. For most needs though, your phones, your tablets, laptops, we do recommend the wireless network. It's really easy to get your devices onto the wireless network once you arrive on campus. You just go to wifi.unca.edu and go through a quick enrollment process where you log in with your username and password, and it kind of automatically detects what system you have and configures your operating system specifically for wireless access. So you don't have to kind of futz around with a bunch of different settings. You just let the program configure it for you and you're good to go. In terms of, like I mentioned, gaming, a lot of folks like to bring their game consoles with them to their dorm room, and we do support that. You just need to register those gaming devices at that same location, wifi.unca.edu, and we'll help you get them online. And again, same proviso with all of this information. If you run into any issues whatsoever, just reach out to the help desk and we're happy to help you. Alongside your email account, you do have full access to the Google Suite tools, which includes unlimited online cloud storage in Google Drive. So you have the availability of putting all of your coursework, all of your photographs, really anything you want to store on Google Drive there. So that's a really nice benefit. I'll briefly touch on Moodle. That is our online learning platform, or what's called an LMS, Learning Management System. And that is how all of your instructors will be providing your online coursework. So typically they'll provide at minimum a syllabus within Moodle, and depending on the course, it varies very widely, of course, but depending on that course, you'll get assignments, discussion boards, even quizzes through Moodle. And each of your instructors will be providing more specific information there. I'll touch briefly on how we handle printing on campus. We have a managed fleet of multifunction devices. It's a bunch of buzzwords, but what that means is that we have a lot of big units all over campus that have a printer, a copier, a scanner, really kind of every service that you might need with physical documents. And all students have full access to those devices. You can print from your personal computer, either by uploading your document to a service called WebPrint. Again, this resource is in our resource guide that you'll be sent later. You can also just from your UNCA email address, send an attachment to printing@unca.edu, and then you walk over to the printer, swipe your one card, and your printouts are there and ready for you. It's a really neat and convenient system, so you don't have to try to find which specific printer on campus you want to print to. You just say, hey, I want to print, and then wherever you walk up and tap your one card, your print job will be released. Really nice and convenient. All students are given $10 of printing funds at the beginning of each semester. Those are yours to use as you see fit. That gives you the ability to print out, any kind of research papers that you're working on, quizzes, study guides, etc. You can also reload those printing funds at our one card office. So if you exhaust that $10, you can go over to the one card office and add more funds. And again, in our resource guide, we go through the kind of costs associated with printing and how you can get information on that. Lindsay, would it be accurate to say that we've already kind of covered the meal plan and using one card for meal plan and that kind of stuff?
I would say so, yeah, thank you.
Okay. I didn't want to retread old territory there.
No, that is good to know though, because yeah, we haven't touched on that it's used for printing as well. So thank you for mentioning that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So going through the questions here that we were submitted at the end, do you think it's a good time to jump over into that, Lindsay?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've covered quite a few of them already, which is awesome. And you answered my question, which is what does LMS stand for?
Deal.
Yeah, so we did have two other questions I think that we haven't touched on yet. One of them was if you can say a little bit more about the process for tech support for personal computer issues for students.
Absolutely. So we provide support for the software side of things on your personal computer. We're happy to help you with software installations, and if you need to get help getting on the internet or connected to our Wi-Fi, or if you need assistance installing the Office suite that we talked about, we're happy to provide that. Again, given social distancing, there's going to be a little bit of a difference in our on-campus availability this fall. But we do have the ability to do remote support sessions. So with your permission and by downloading a small application, we can remotely access your computer, again, with your permission. And we don't install anything by default, and help you out with whatever you're having a challenge with. So again, anything from software installations to virus removal, we're happy to help with that. We don't provide hardware support for personal computers. If you do have, you drop your computer and break it, or something seems to be amiss, you've got a fan or a hard drive that seems to be failing, we'll refer you to Charlotte Street Computers, which is a local company a stone's throw from campus that offers a really steep discount for UNC Asheville students.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
And just so I don't forget about it, the question in the Q&A was about using a VPN to access UNCA materials off campus.
We don't need to use a VPN to access most things on campus. Anything that's going to be a protected resource that might require a VPN is going to be really kind of faculty and staff only. Student resources are going to be available globally just by logging in using your UNC Asheville username and password. So you'll be able to access your email, OnePort, which includes all of your registration and class management, so forth. Your Moodle coursework, all of those things are available without the necessity for a VPN.
Awesome, and I knew what that was.
You use it.
I do use it. Do you have loaners or rental laptops that students can use if they do have a computer that's over at Charlotte Street that they're getting worked on?
Sure. So the Ramsey Library is the entity on our campus that does the computer loans. IT does not have a fleet of loaners available for students. But again, in Ramsey Library at the circulation desk, they have those available for students to check out.
And can you talk a little bit about computer labs? Where are they? How are there certain hours that students can access those if they don't have a laptop or they're more comfortable on a desktop computer?
Absolutely. So we have a number of computer labs on campus, and mostly they're in academic buildings. There's one in there's actually a few in Carpin Hall. There's one in Whitesides Hall. There's a couple in Rhodes Robinson. And on our knowledge base website, there is a list of all of those open computer labs, their hours, which are subject to change, of course, and kind of a map of where they are on campus. Additionally, in most of the dorms, especially those for new residential students, there are what are called business centers that have at least a couple of desktop computers in there and one of those multifunction devices that I mentioned. So you can go in there and access a desktop computer and do your coursework.
So we actually just got a question from a fellow admission counselor. Savannah says that she had a student ask her today when and how incoming students can access the office suite. If they're already accepted and they've submitted their enrollment deposit, can they go ahead and access that?
You can, yes, today. As soon as matriculation occurs and everything is official within our systems, the license for Office 365 is applied. So again, in that resource guide that we'll send out, there's a link to how to get access to Office 365 with step-by-step instructions, and any of the new students can do that today, this afternoon.
Awesome, good to know.
Yeah.
So we had a bit of a different question. Do you have any opportunities for students to get involved with the ITS department? If they're looking to get some experience, if they're maybe looking for an internship, student workers?
I will say, hopefully not braggadociously, but I'm a great example of that because I started out here as a student assistant. I worked with a lot of the Mac computers way back when, before everything was fancy with Macs. And then to kind of parlay that into a career. So we do make heavy use of student technicians within our shop. There's a kind of a career track almost within IT. So you start off doing kind of frontline support at our service desk. And as those positions become available, we post them within our student employment application called Handshake. That's a campus-wide application that really any kind of on-campus employment will be posted in. But we do participate in that. That frontline support consists of doing all the things that we just talked about here, helping students install software, doing advising on getting connected to Wi-Fi and those sorts of things. From there, you can kind of move on to a position within our client technology support team. that actually goes out and does service on employee computers, both faculty and staff, works on some of the hardware setups around campus, including in the labs and in the classrooms, does a lot of networking work. There's also the opportunity to join our distance learning team that supports Zoom that we're using right now. So there's actually a lot of opportunity to get an on-campus job within IT, and it's you can turn it into a career. I'm living proof.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
So we have reached the end of our questions that were submitted before. So I would like to just do one last reminder to the people that are logged in today. If you have any last minute questions that you want to ask, please go ahead and put those in the Q&A. It does look like we've covered pretty much everything that people had asked ahead of time. Is there any questions that you expected to get or anything you want to make sure you cover that we haven't touched on?
Honestly, I don't think so. I feel like this was fairly complete. I will encourage anybody, if you have that technical question, to go ahead and start emailing the help desk. Just shoot an email to helpdesk@unca.edu, and we're happy to make any clarifications that you need.
Awesome, thank you. All right. So, yep, that looks like the rest of our questions. We will make sure that everybody that was logged into the live chat today gets access to the resources that you shared on your screen. If you do end up having any additional questions that we didn't cover today, please feel free to reach out to your admission counselor or directly to ITS. What's that email that they need to reach you at?
I will put it in the chat right here for everyone. It's helpdesk@unca.edu.
Awesome. So if you're in your UNCA email account, as I realized, if you just start typing help, you guys are the ones that come up, which is exactly what I need. So
no, it's actually help. You have to say it.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Oh, it looks like there is another question that just came in. Wi-Fi. What are the download speeds of Wi-Fi?
About 200 megabits per second, 2 to 250.
Great.
Broadband speed.
Hopefully that means something to the guy that asked it.
It's pretty fast.
Right. Yeah, good. That's good to know. I attended UNCA over 10 years ago, and even then I was very impressed with the internet access that we had. So I'm sure it's even better now.
Hopefully.
Well, thank you, Matthew. I really appreciate you coming to talk with us. For everybody that's tuning in, we have one final Q&A with UNCA that's coming up for our whole series. We'll be wrapping it up this Thursday at 4 o'clock with the Office of Academic Accessibility. So if you have questions about modifications or accommodations in your classes, if you maybe had an IEP or a 504 in high school and you're looking to see how you might be able to extend those services to college, that academic accessibility one on Thursday at 4 would be the one to tune into. So thank you again, Matthew. I really appreciate your time, and y'all take care.